I am always on the side of anti-crime. I do not agree with these guys. They do not have a right for criminality. It's not because they get to youths and poor. It's good that they're robbing people and the 1% have them. So I do not agree with that. I do not agree with that. But as I just said, that's a separate reality from speaking about the connections that government and political officials have to the funding and facilitating of the criminal activity. As I've said many times, one of the clearest facts in those communities remains that the job-making programs that the government puts into those communities, they regularly place them in the hands of the community leaders. And they've been doing that since the 60s with Eric Williams. And if the government keeps facilitating and empowering the gangs in those communities, then yes, it is also the community fault and the men's fault for doing the crime, but it is a facilitation of the government. It is. But did they talk about the connections they have? From what I know, they didn't talk about the connections they had. The thing they most commonly talk about is the opportunities. And to me, what you have to recognize from these videos is sometimes you're expecting too much from many of these. As somebody said already, these are henchmen. Many of these guys don't know what they're doing. They don't know why they're doing exactly what they're doing all the time. So no, it's not Stoops back to zero, Ronnie. No, it's not Stoops back to zero. It's the statement that Dr. Martin Luther King said, that riots are the voice of the unheard. And many people in the Black Lives Matter movement took that as advice, as if you feel unheard, you should riot. That's not what he was saying. If you riot, you lose. If you get violent, you lose. You do crime, you lose. But that is not separate from the reality that if you as a society make a section of people feel like their voices cannot be heard, you are inevitably going to get a violent reaction, because that's what human beings do. Yeah, so it's to me, it's not about crime apologia, but to me, this is the positive side of what you wanted, of what some people want from the Trinidad music. Yes, give people a view into these communities. Let people see that there are 16-year-old boys sitting down with guns and chairs for 8 hours a day, and that's all they do. And let people ask, where does the money come from to do that? And then let people ask, when this guy that is the leader there gets a contract here and is placed in a position there, how does that help? And
good night.
Good night, Ronnie.
You finished?
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay. To me, I don't know. My stance on it is very, very different from all their own, right? Because if all you're saying, and oh well, they would have been exposing, like, I don't know, the government connections or the police connections or the possibilities there. I could agree with that if all you come and take air some tea, then air it. But you don't have no tea.
You see, you're talking like a woman, Ronnie, again, me vex. You're talking like a woman and again, me vex with we Red Pill podcast here.
What are you talking about?
How you going to tell gangsters who living with their lives on a day-to-day basis to come and give you tea about government officials that are going to get them murdered in a ravine tomorrow? What do you mean tea? What do you mean tea?
They are henchmen. They don't even know the half of it, right? So then why is he pointing talking to them, right?
To give a window into their reality, Ronnie. I just said, did you not hear the quote from Martin Luther King about riots and the voice of the voiceless?
Okay, great. I heard that, right? And again, I am asking, what was this is because I don't see it that way. I'm not seeing the purpose or the sense in any of it, right? You come and you talk to people and they will tell you, yeah man, I just kill people for a living or whatever it is, right? But then that is all the video is, just talking about what you do, and then you come in to complain about what the fact that you can't get a government contract. That's what we're talking about, right?
Yes.
You're saying that policy, right?
Yes.
Great. But in my thinking of it, this is nothing new. This is hard. This is the reality. Everybody know this. Nobody don't need to. And I must bring up the Vice, their documentary. You remember Vice? Their documentary on Trinidad and Tobago. And it's the same thing they did. They went into the ghetto communities and they spoke to whoever they had to speak to. And to me, it was much more tasteful. Nobody wasn't walking around with no gun on them and making threats to anybody else either. It was more of like, this is our plight in the community. This is what we're dealing with. And I have no problem when people come into bringing forward their situations. But you make, to me, I didn't get to see the whole thing because it was taken long by the time I reached. But I did get to see like little clips and stuff. It seemed more like it was just have the competition going on with some of these gangs. That's how it seemed.
No. That wasn't the tenor of the discussion.
Again, I just saw 1 minute clips because I didn't get to see his whole video.
That wasn't the tenor of his video at all. His video didn't have the perspective of this is a good thing and we're glorifying this. And Abu Friday, you talk out of multiple sides of your mouth. Weren't you the one excusing moms the other week? And now you come to say you're not accepting no sad story from them fellas?
Talking about, that everybody in the community, man. Everybody in the you don't understand the problems in the community. This is crazy.
So sad story from thieving mommy, but not from the ghetto youths. Alright, okay. That is out of multiple sides. I don't accept none of their sad story. I don't accept any of their sad stories. This isn't about saying that the video was supposed to evoke pity. I don't think the video was supposed to evoke pity for the guys. I don't think the video was supposed to show and you look at it and say, oh, poor guys, I feel their sad story. That's not what it's about. It's like when you see those videos where I don't know if you've ever seen them in a city in Chicago, Southside Chicago, and you see 12-year-old boys with a Glock and an extended magazine and somebody's recording it, and I appreciate those videos getting out. Not because I glorify it, but it gives you a clear view into the reality, because that's not a view that everyone has. It's not a view that everyone has. And where I was saying you are making what they are accusing you of reality is the fact that you did shut him up. That's what we're talking about, Ronnie. I'm not talking about whether they were spilling the tea or bringing real news. No. It's that if these guys are saying what they're doing is trying to oppress us and shut us up, and then someone just showing the reality as it is in those communities is arrested on a trumped-up charge of trying to take down the country, doesn't it bear some truth to what they are accusing you of?
Just 1 second, Abu Friday wants to comment. Do I accept it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't it bear some truth to what they're accusing you of?
Okay. I don't know if that bears any truth at all. That I don't agree with the man being arrested. I think it should have been okay. He could have made his video and gone. To me, the usefulness of the video is where I call into question, but that's aside from
but here's the thing, Ronnie. The usefulness of the video is brought into topic because of the arrest. If they didn't arrest him, I may have never really discussed his content. I'd have discussed a barely bit here and there. It became what it became because they arrested him. If they didn't arrest him, are we discussing Zoe and her tattoo in Laventille? Are we discussing the next white woman talking about the guy fake Bira? I don't care. Those aren't the important things. The moment you arrest him, that's government involvement inside of this, and it piques everyone's interest. Why?
Listen to some perspective on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
As somebody who come out of But them communities, as a matter of fact, I come out of the community, we just had the shooting a couple of nights ago, and the guy in the hospital died. I know them fellas personally. I was even in the same street, them fellas get shoot up. I know them personally, I know the whole family. As a youth growing up in Laventille West, I could tell you, most of them have a choice if you want to be in the gangster life. The majority of them make that choice. But I make it at that point in time, I was on the streets. That was a decision made, nobody didn't force. And the majority of fellas I know, nobody didn't force them into that life. The problem is when they get in, getting out is not that easy.
I find it interesting though. You know, regularly we find pity for girls. If a young lady was in an unfortunate circumstance of growing up and she chose to go out there and do this and do that and do that and do that, you see, well, you have to understand that the circumstances of her life, but she chose those things. She chose those things and the choices have negative actions. But you have to understand and okay and look to help and help with social. But when guys do the same thing and they end up in a gang, all of a sudden it's their choice only. There is no pity for them. I agree, it's their choice. Most of the time it is their choice. But there's a reason why the choice is made more in specific communities, in specific cultures, in specific ethnicities. There are reasons for that. So it's just now. So it's obviously not exclusively on their choosing. There are other factors that obviously are influencing their choices and making them more likely to make certain choices. And okay, we can point out, which I regularly do, when I keep saying that it's the crime that causes the poverty, that's me pointing out that it's a choice. That's what I'm saying. Yes, we can say that regularly, but also at some point in time, we can speak about the other factors that cause those choices to be the most, to be a more common choice among certain people. There are factors that cause that.
You see that guy, the fall one man can spray up in the hospital the other night?
Yep.
He didn't come from no downtrodden or family. He didn't come and know the youth man personally. He didn't come from the downtrodden home or family. Choose to go down that road. Choose. And it's not like I have something against youth man, because the youth man don't pass me knowing. He choose to go down that road. Choose it.
I am not saying that it's not a choice. That you're reiterating what I am saying. I am saying it is a choice. But there are reasons why the choice is seen more in specific communities. That's what I'm saying, which is a self-evidently true thing. And the issue with a lot of that is, for example, that same shooting. Let's dive into that story too. That same shooting where they followed the men into the hospital. Gunmen stormed Port of Spain Hospital to finish job. 4 dead, others hurt. If you hear the basis of that story, okay, some guy is sweating out there in Belmont, was it? In Gonzales, sweating out in Gonzales. After the sweat, gunmen swing through and spray the police. Okay, according to what it seems like the facts of the case are, some of the guys who got picked up seem to be known figures, but at least one boy who was picked up, according to his mother, he wasn't any gangster. She swears he was no gangster. He was a 3rd-year med student.
Yeah.
He went out for a sweat. And this is why I keep saying it's the crime that causes the poverty. Because you've just impoverished the community of Gonzales of a future doctor. You've impoverished your community by promoting the crime. But nonetheless, the circumstances of that community just robbed a family innocently of a promising boy. And also, his brother is in the hospital with gunshot wounds. Because his brother is, according to the story, a regiment officer, was nearby, heard the gunshots, ran, carried his brother to the hospital, then the gunmen swung back around again to finish the job. Finish the job on the brother, who was alive in the hospital. According to the mother, he was shot in his leg when he reached the hospital. That's the like, I don't even want to go down the mental road that is for a mother to think about the maybes and the could be's, knowing that he reached there alive with a gunshot wound to his leg, and then his brother was there with him, and the brother, I think, has a gunshot wound to his face too now. Now, in things like that, that brother, I would hope, because the family seems to be sound, I would hope that, you know, he goes on to live a successful life. But if he were to lean down a certain side of vengeance, isn't it true that circumstances outside the realm of his control that are specific to his community would have helped to lead him down that road? Not saying it wasn't his choice also, but there are other factors too that play a part. And those factors very often are controlled or are facilitated by those in authority.
I agree with you.
That's all I'm seeing in that sense. That's the all of that. The all of that I'm seeing.